we move on to the next important topic of the day, reading serology. None other than Dr. M.R. Reddy, a good friend of ours and very good senior. He did his BBSc from Tirupati and MBSc from Nagar, a doctoral degree from Melbourne, Australia. He has put in almost 30 years of experience in the field of poultry health, health research, and many more. So he has published almost 75 scientific papers, 30 technical articles, guided 10 MBSc and 5 PhD students. Now he is the founder general secretary of Association of Avian Health Professionals, that is AAHP, and currently chief editor of Indian Journal of Veterinary Pathology. He is acting as a member of expert committees at state and national level. Very, very kind of you, sir, to having taken time. All over to Dr. M.R. Reddy.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, CPD Board Director and also INFA, Dr. Vijay Makia and other senior people for inviting me for this presentation. Now let me share my. Yeah, I think, is it visible, my presentation?
Yes, doctor.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, just now we listened to two eminent speakers. Both are speaking about, good chick to start with and also to maintain farms away from the pathogens. So these two important aspects. I am going to give some brief overview of this application of serology in poultry health management. That is how to read and how to interpret the serology reports. Just to begin my actual presentation, I wanted to just share some important things, that is tools for flock health management or flock health monitoring or disease diagnosis. If you see here, we have several options, that is by the detection of host responses on the left side, that is for monitoring if flock is performing well or whether it is doing good or bad. Then we generally notice farmer or veterinarians those who visit, they mainly see for clinical signs routinely, daily. Then if any unusual mortality or routine mortality, they go for necropsy and also go for histopathology. And also we see the host response, that is antibody response to a particular pathogen or particular antigen or particular field challenge. So these antibodies are nothing but host proteins only. They are actually produced by the immune system against a particular antigen, that is a virus or bacteria or a viral vaccine or bacterial vaccine. So then coming to the detection of pathogen components or pathogen itself. So here what we have, we can isolate, we can do microscopic examination, we can identify several other means again. Here also pathogen proteins, then component, that is comes under serology. Here we use mostly serology, that is ELISA, FAT, AGPT, hemagglutination or neutralization test or lateral flow assay. Then recently there is another component, that is actually detection of pathogen genome. So here we use all molecular techniques like PCR, reverse transcription PCR, then real-time PCR, sequencing, and all these techniques now they are actually most commonly industry also started using. And then coming to the antibody, that is we have several antibody techniques to use as a serological detection of diseases or immune response. So here if you see, the most important one is ELISA, and second mostly we use hemagglutination inhibition, particularly for Newcastle disease or eardrop syndrome. And there are other techniques, fluorescent antibody technique, agar-gel diffusion technique, then neutralization, there are agglutination techniques. These are, I think, less commonly used. So mostly we use ELISA and hemagglutination inhibition for quantification of antibodies in the poultry, mainly to monitor the immune response or to detect any field challenge. So if we come to what are the kits available in the country, these are sometime all these kits were available. Now maybe some of these are not available in India, they are actually Affinitech, they are mentioned in alphabetical order. Then Biocheck, IDEX, IDVEC, and ProPlog kits. And mostly my presentation, the data comes from this. Then what we are measuring in the serology? Serology, we are actually measuring adaptive immune response, that to humoral immune response. So if you see the immune system, there is innate immune response, then adaptive immune response here, humoral as well as cell-mediated immunity and also local immunity. We are actually targeting in serology only humoral immune response by using antigen-antibody reactions. So what we are measuring actually, when we inject a vaccine, are there any challenges there that induces active immunity, that is a natural process, exposure to the field infection, or artificial immunity, that is administration of vaccinations. Then we also actually important component, that is the passive immunity. Mostly we detect maternal antibodies to determine the status level of maternal antibodies and also its to decide the date of vaccination. Then coming to the what are the different applications, we use this serology for monitoring of vaccine programs, then detection of exposure to infection, then calculate baseline titers and manage health program costs. So to specifically the purpose of serological testing, any farmer or a consultant, when he is actually prescribing for a serological test, he may be having some purpose. What is that? So you want to know maternal antibody status, for example, for even encephalomyelitis or chicken anemia or IBD. You want to predict right age of early IBD vaccination. So you want to decide the date of IBD vaccination. Then you want to know the decline of maternal antibodies in the plot. Then you want to see whether our vaccination program, like farmers, they want to see whether their program is appropriate, working well, where their program is success or not. Then to detect disease challenge, if there are some unusual clinical signs, they want to see by serological examination, and to rule out sometimes infectious causes. For example, the disease or the problems are caused by some non-infectious toxic problems or mutational issues. In that cases, if any introduction drops are there, they want to use this serology to rule out, okay, this is not a problem, infectious problem. Then making decisions about booster vaccination. During the course of rearing, egg-laying cycle, whether birds are having protective titers or not, if the titers are enough or not, so serology can help them. Then finally, to establish baselines in a particular vaccination program and in a particular region or in a particular company, in their operations, what are the baselines, so that helps them for future control of diseases. Then coming to the interpretation of serological results, the most key components of an antibody response following vaccination, what we are seeing actually, we need to see intensity of the response, that is the level, antibody titers, then uniformity of the response, whether these titers are, how they spread, whether they are uniform or they are widely variant. Then we also see the persistence of the response, whether these immune response is enough for a long time to protect the bird or not. So by serology, we can give this information. Then whether the vaccination program is successful or failure, what are the indicators? The titers should be very high, uniform, and they should be long lasting, that is of course within the expected range. Important thing is when flock is vaccinated, we should expect 100% positives when we do the serology. So if some birds are not responding to the vaccine, or some birds have showing zero titers, that is something wrong. Then indicators of poor vaccination. Again here the titers are low than expected, the uniformity is very poor, and the titers may not be persistent. Then protective titers are not, that depends upon many variables, so that we will discuss in the course. So this is a typical, actually, when report comes from a laboratory, it looks like this. This is the, you will find the information, that is the graph, and also here you will find out summary statistics, and in each individual serum sample, what is the OD value, SP ratio, titer, and what is the group it belongs, and what is the result, whether it is positive or not. So if you see here, this is here it is the first count, how many samples tested. This is the mean titer, and this is geometric mean, then standard deviation, percentage CV. This gives variability, how variable titers, how close they are. Then it also gives a minimum value, titer value, and also maximum titer value. This is another format of different company. Here also, if you see, it has individual sample details, as well as it gives the mean titer, then maximum and minimum titer, how many samples tested, how many are positive, how many are suspected, how many are negative, and what is the CV percentage. This is also another company, that is IDVet format. This also gives us individual value, individual sample details, and also the mean titer, maximum and minimum titers, geometric mean titer, as well as coefficient of variation. Then to read these, we need to understand what is the distribution of these samples, whether they are distributed normally or they are actually away from the mean. So this is generally it is a normal distribution, single bell type of response. So then there will be a deviation. We have one standard deviation away, means if it is within the one standard deviation, almost 68% samples are covered. If this is the model, then the standard deviation we use for calculating the coefficient of variation. That is the standard deviation divided by mean, that is average, into 100, that gives us the coefficient of variation. Then how our samples are distributed, titers are distributed. If you see, when you see our graphs, they may be look like one of these graphs like here. That is a unimodal, that is only one peak, just like a bell type. Then bimodal, there will be two peaks. Then multimodal, because there are a lot of peaks here, and it may be skewed left side, or it may be skewed right side, or it is symmetrical, both the sides is equal, and it may be uniform, all the values are uniform. So these 5-6 type of histograms we will find in the serological reports. Then there is a titer group. What is the titer group? It is actually, these are frequency distribution. Suppose we put 20 samples are there, each sample has some titer. The kit manufacturers, they have actually made into groups. If any sample, suppose his titer is showing 1000, that will automatically the computer software calculates and it puts in the group 2. If any sample is having 6000 titer, it will put in the 7, that is the titer group 7. Like that, there are 18 groups in IDEX. So these are the titer values as well as the titer groups. That's why in the graph you will find from 0 to 18 groups, and on the left side it is the number of samples in each group. Then coming to this is some of the typical bar diagrams. This is IBD in the first here. If you see here, the graph is the variation is very less here. It is 100% positivity, and also they are very closely placed. That is, the distribution is very close. So here, this is a normal. It's an excellent serological grouping. Then coming down, this is actually the values are spread. In the zero, in vaccinated flux, generally we don't expect any values in zero titer group. Here, if you see, almost several samples, some 39% samples are in a negative group, and also the CV percentage is very high. And this indicates actually the poor vaccination, whereas the upper one indicates very good vaccination and good response. In the down, it may be a poor vaccination. Then again here, this is a good vaccine coverage. When we give vaccination, when how many birds are responding, and almost 99% positive here, the CV percentage is less than 60%, and the titers are uniform. And here in the middle diagram, this is the poor vaccine coverage. It indicates poor vaccine coverage because more than 35% birds are showing very low titers, and there are some negative titers also, almost 8 samples out of maybe 20. Then the CV percentage is high, that's more than 60%. And in the down, this is also indicates a poor vaccine coverage, and most of the samples are in a zero titer group, and the CV percentage is very high, and this indicates very poor coverage. Then this is also another example whether the good vaccination program, vaccine handling, and the vaccine administration. Yeah, farmers actually use this tool as an important method to assess whether their vaccination method or vaccination is good or not. After giving 3-4 weeks after vaccination, they can collect samples and they will find out. So if you see here at the top, it is a very uniform titers, good vaccination. And if you see in the down, the titers are very much variable, and there is a lot of, CV percentage is 194%. So here this indicates very poor titers. This is for IBV, similar thing. The upper graph is the good vaccination, and in the down it is very poor vaccination. Then here, Newcastle disease. Then coming to, we use this serology for confirmation of any field challenge. For example, in India we do not have avian pneumovirus vaccines, but if any flock is positive for avian pneumovirus, we can say it is field challenge. So sometimes consultants and farmers, they find symptoms, respiratory symptoms, if they are confusing or there may be suspecting for avian pneumovirus, that time they can use this serology. And this is the serological histogram. Here most of the samples, almost 50% of the samples are positive for avian pneumovirus. This indicates the flock is exposed. Here also again, this is another positive flock which is showing actually many samples which are positive for avian pneumovirus. And this is the flock. Here most of the samples, of course, they are negative, and very few, 2-3 samples, they are positive. And this is 14-week age broiler breeder flock. If you see here, many samples they are positive for avian pneumovirus. And if you see, this is another layer flock. Here most of the samples, all the samples they are positive. Titers also very high. This is another layer form. Here also, all the samples are positive for avian pneumovirus, and titers, of course, very high, and the CV percentage is 86.9%. This is another histogram, again avian pneumovirus. Then coming to, sometimes this is a H9 actually. When H9 is there, here also most of the samples, all the samples are positive. Of course, even though officially vaccines are not allowed, we can say this flock is infected, or if vaccines are given well protected titer. This is also similar for the H9. Again, this is actually flock. Here the many samples are negative. The age is 10 weeks of age, almost 90% samples are negative for avian pneumovirus. Then we can also use this one for immune response assessment. The serology also helps us to see how our vaccine program is working, how the vaccination schedule is working. So here if you see, this is a broiler parent flock tested for IB, here you see a bimodal graph here. Some of the samples actually having low titer and some of the samples having normal titers. If you see here, the mean is 4,108 and the CV is 96%. So what we can, by seeing this, how we will interpret. So actually this is a EC house in North India, and here the samples are actually after, I think there is some issue means the not properly vaccinated with killed vaccines. While doing killed vaccines, they might have missed some birds or improperly or inadequate dose they might have administered. And what we will advise to this particular farmer. So the only advice is they have to go for another vaccination with live. Of course, regularly they do live vaccines every 6 to 8 weeks, and it's better to ask them to go for vaccination. Otherwise, after some time, this flock may be susceptible because if you see here, the variation is very high, and geometric mean is only 2,500. Then this is IBV layer flock, 1.6 weeks, and here actually we do not know what is the reason actually why at 1.6 weeks of age the titers are checked. They may be having some reason, but generally this is not the right age. Maybe they want to see whether what is the maternal antibody status, because 1.6 weeks means even the vaccination response also not properly started establishing. So here most of the birds are actually negative. They are showing 0 titers. This is IBV again, breeder flock. If you see here, the CV percentage is 50% and the titers are actually 6,500. It's a good mean. These are protective titers definitely, but there is a variation. This is another, if you see here IBV in male breeders, here I think the previous one and this one both belongs to the same farmer. One is females and this is the females, and the other one is males. Here if you see, the titers are very less. Even though sample size is small, we cannot say small because male breeders number is very less in a particular any breeding farm. So 6 samples may not be a low number. But here if you see, the titers a lot of variation in males and females. So while giving vaccination, any killed vaccines, they should cover it. Sometimes if they miss, sometimes any males anything giving vaccinations, that is not good. So in this case, these titers are low, so they may be susceptible, even though it shows protective titers, but better to go for vaccination. This is another layer form. Mean is almost 4,000. The CV percentage is 61%. At this age, I think because generally layer flocks, they start giving live vaccines after 35 weeks, and here also it's better to go for vaccination. If you see here, this is a flock of 90-week layer IBV titers. The mean titer is less than 3,000, and the CV percentage is 64%. And we can consider, okay, they are protective, but still there is a chances of some of the birds, they may get field challenge. Since it is 100 weeks, if they want to continue these birds for suppose another 15-20 weeks, then in that case, it is advisable to go for vaccination.
5 minutes, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Then another thing is, this is another IB layer form showing mean titer 3,500, and the CV percentage is, of course, these are also you can consider protective, but in a medium range. Then I will skip. This is another layer form, 83-week old. The mean titer is 2,400. We consider for this particular age, these titers are low. I think better to go for vaccination. Then this is actually 37 days, 3 flocks. The samples are collected and tested. If you see here, still there are some birds which are actually negative, showing zero titers. Even though titers are high, except in this particular graph in S2, but in other groups it is titers are good, but many birds are showing zero titer. So what it indicates? It indicates some birds have missed during vaccination; they are not responded. This is another flock, 16,000. The CV percentage 28. So nowadays, of course, even though sometimes it's a deviation from the baselines set by the companies, but this is a common observation. In the ND kill vaccines, we will find more titers because maybe several kill vaccines they are giving to these flocks. This is another ND. It's a good. Here also titers 23,000, but very uniform. They might have exposed to field infection also. Maybe they have to check with, correlate with the their production records and clinical findings. This is another same. Of course, another thing is we also use this hemagglutination inhibition also to check the antibody titer, and this also gives good information. So some farms still they are depending on this hemagglutination inhibition. This is actually 41 days of age, 3.9%, 3.9 mean titer. And this is another flock, 38 days. The titers are variable, very good uniform titers. Then here also, if you see titers are very low for this particular age. Then here also titers are low. 5 is protective titer, 5 and above. And if you see here, there is one indicator. They want to check actually their ND vaccination program. So this is the first one. Is actually it's a good response, and the titer is 5.1. And in others, all others titers are very low. It's 1.2 and 2.3, even 0.3 in some places. So sometimes we will find some doubt whether these flocks are given vaccine or not. Then coming to the AE, because nowadays these cases are also increasing in chicks. This is a good, I think, protective titer in broiler 40 week. Then this is actually a day-old chick. If you see one particular farm, in day-old chick they found some clinical infection of AE, and they have tested their parents. The parents, many birds are 50% birds are zero titers and low titer. And subsequently they have another grower flock. In that also they found the titers are not achieved because only mean titer is 420. So they have to improve their vaccination program. Then this is another, this is for IBD vaccination. And here also if you see this, the first graph is actually very good uniform titers, and the second one also is good. But here if you see the down, this is actually the very poor vaccination, we can say. Three different forms, same company, and the titers are variable. We also use this to develop profiles. For example, IBD, what 0 day, 14 day, 28 day, 6 days, 16 days, and 300 days. What is the titer, standard titers? So this serology can help us to. Then we can also use this serology programs for deciding the date of vaccination in IBD. This is if your target titer is 500, with this particular titer 2600, it is 8 days. Like the same, if you want intermediate vaccine, you can use 14 days. Like that, these are some of the data we can see. And in chicken anemia, of course, if you want to see the field infection, they use actually 1 in 10 dilution, and if it is vaccine response, they use 1 in 100 dilution. And based on the SN values, we can say whether the flock is positive or negative, or protective or non-protective. Then we use this thing to, suppose sometimes in the field to rule out. This is a case where there is a drop in egg production, cell-less eggs and soft shell eggs. And here if you see the titers are ND, EDS and IV titers are there normal. And actually this is proven as a pesticide toxin because of this toxic in the productions on the. And we can use this routine monitoring of schedules. Then this is the schedules that is we can use in commercial layers and broiler breeders 1 to 3 days to measure methyl antibody uniformity, and maybe 10 to 12 weeks how the priming helps. Then measure the chilled vaccine response. Then during production cycles you can use this what is the persistency of titers and also intervention if it is required. And these are the different schedules. As per this you can collect samples and decide to develop baselines for any company, so that will help us. This is for commercial broilers. And to conclude, this is a serological testing is an important tool used in the commercial poultry industry for diagnosis of disease and also monitoring of flock health and the vaccine response. Then flock monitoring can help determine the effectiveness of vaccination program and need for boosting of breeders or layers with the production cycle. And a systematic monitoring and establishment of baselines can be are essential to actually correctly interpret and make use of this serological information. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. M.R. Reddy, for such a insightful presentation, a very detailed insights on how to use this serology as a flock monitoring tool, and wonderful graphics and practical examples you shared. So